When you meet with students, or in my role as academic advisor for the department, a lot of the students are handling a workload. They're trying to go to school either full-time or part-time. A lot of them have families. So they're having to try and adjust the schedule to try and incorporate all of those things, work around their class schedule, try and adjust their work schedule. And it's a juggling act. A lot of times when I see students, they're really stressed because at the beginning of the semester it sounds ideal. But after a couple of weeks of being in classes and having to do reports and having to study and then having work commitments and family commitments, it starts catching up with them.
Do you have any suggestions that you might give me, for example, if I were a college student and had all these responsibilities?
Time management. I think a lot of it, we see students that are really successful in combining their classes and work and their home life. And I found day planners, using calendars. When you map out, or if you have a calendar for a month and you list everything that you have to do, a lot of students that are successful use that as a tool. So you know a week ahead of time or 2 weeks in advance, I have a paper due. All right, I have this family commitment on a Friday, so they know how to budget their time. But a lot of it is time management, knowing that you have certain things that are due at a particular time, and then just making sure that you've allotted and not leave things to last minute, which I know we love to procrastinate. But when you're juggling that many things, I think it's a time management issue.
If you've only got so much, how do you divide it up?
Usually what I'll tell students is a lot of times people are trying to do too much at one time. They feel that they can go to school full-time, work full-time, and manage all of these things well. And a lot of times I think it's a matter of stepping back and realizing school will always be here. Work will be there, family. You kind of have to prioritize individually which you would like to make the focus. Classes, you can take them in the evening, you can take them in the summer. A lot of times what I suggest is don't overload. If you're not sure if you're going to be able to handle it, start off the first semester slower. If you find that you had a lot of free time, then the next semester you can add another class. I usually recommend taking breaks in between classes, like leaving a time that you could use for studying. So this way you can do your homework while you're in school instead of having to worry about it when you get home. I usually recommend not taking classes all on the same days. A lot of people would really like to schedule all of their classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays or Mondays and Wednesdays. It's great at the beginning of the semester, but then during midterms and at finals, you're having to study for 3 or 4 tests at the same time. You're having to do homework at the same time. And I think that's when it really becomes an issue.
How is doing things on a steady basis rather than waiting till the last minute, does that have anything to do with the stress that a student feels?
I think so. I mean, just personally, when you leave things to the last minute, you know you have to do it 2 days before, you're stressing. And you know that. And that was in, I think, your control or their control. Trying to budget your time, knowing that you're going to get to that crunch. I think you know it. A lot of times it's easy to put it off. But if you know you're going to be taking classes, or a couple of classes are much more difficult than the classes you've had in the past, knowing that in advance and saying, okay, every week, no matter what, I'm going to do at least 3 hours of this busy time and set aside that time. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes things come up and you're not, able to reschedule. But if you say this week I will do this much, I think in the long run it helps them keep up with their classes and know that they can finish the projects in time.